Good morning. If you've been following me the last couple weeks, then you know I've been talking about laying hold of what you want, going after it, keeping the faith. Faith takes. How bad do you want it? Because if you don't want it that bad, then you're not going to be serious about it, and it's not going to happen. So I want to share my story or my testimony, whichever. Some people think like a testimony you have to be like on drugs and a drunk and have a salvation testimony, but you can have financial testimonies, you can have healing testimonies. So this is a financial testimony of how God kept me in a very hard season. In 2022, I started the year without a job, and I had enough saved. I budgeted. I even went over, just like calculating, and I had enough in my account for the year to not work at all. So I was like, I ain't working. So I would have wound up with, I think it was $95 by the end of December. So I was like, I'm not working. I'm just going to take this time to pray, develop my faith, relationship with the Lord. And those first 4 months was the best time of my life, really. I've never been so happy, carefree, in all my life for those 4 months. I was going on trips, and they were like conferences. And so that started to like dwindle the account. And then I was driving my brother's car at the time. He had passed, so I got his car. And it was breaking down, so that was money coming out. And then it was like April. I was like, okay, I gotta start getting serious about a job here because it's not gonna last the rest of the year. So I was like, what can I do? Nothing really interested me. There were some opportunities, and Lord shut the door real quick on that, because truly that would have been very dangerous, a very dangerous situation. So I was like, I'm just going to be a substitute teacher. And if you know me, I don't care for children. And so I don't know why I did that. But yeah, so I did K through 12, and I did that for 3 weeks, and that was an absolute nightmare. There was a junior in high school. I was ready to take him out in the hall, and it wasn't going to be good. But I didn't. I was really well behaved. I didn't even yell at him. So I was like, I can't do this. And then when I got my first check, it was like $100. And I just looked at it, and then I went to bed. I said, Lord, I can't even pray over this, and I'm not going to pray over it until I get a better attitude. So good night. And I did. So in the morning, I said, I can't do nothing with this, and I'm asking you to multiply it. And in January, I got my last check from my job, and I sowed it. I said, I'm trusting you that you will take care of me for this year. And I gave that and my bonus, my Christmas bonus, I sowed it into different ministries in our church, and trusting for direction, and just open doors. So, and in that time, I didn't tell anybody my situation, because people won't stand with you. They just want to feel sorry for you, or they judge you and like, you need to get a job, like stop playing around. And I didn't need that. So, and I'm a private person anyways. That's why making these videos is kind of a struggle, because I'm opening up about things I've never shared with anybody. So Mom was talking to a friend, Michael Kelly, and he texted me, and he's like, the Lord gave me a word for you. And it was Hebrews 10:23, where you hold fast to the confession of your faith. Your faith. And I'll read it amplified. So let us seize and hold fast and retain without wavering the hope we cherish and confess in our acknowledgement of it. For he who promised is reliable. He's sure and faithful to his word. So I said, all right, let's go. Let's hold on to it. And I did. So school ended. And honestly, that was really just the worst time to start subbing because it was the end of the school year and those kids were cray. I had second graders for 2 weeks at Canton South because the teachers were moving into a new building, so they were trying to get their stuff packed. And these kids, oh Lord, I had their names down by like day 2 because I was constantly having to yell at them. But it was just a bad time. So I was like, I don't think I want to do this. So I applied for this other job, and it, again, with children. Oh Lord, it was a kind of like a daycare, I guess. In the school time, it's like an after school program, and then I don't even know what you call it, but so that was part-time. It was in the afternoon, so I would have to close. It was like 12:30 to 6:30, whoever the last pickup was. I had to stay. So I'm like, this ain't gonna cut it. So then another opportunity came to work in a bakery. So I was hired on the spot. I just was like, I'm looking for a job. She's like, okay, get in there. And I was like, well, I have to leave, by 12:30, I got to get to my other job. She's like, all right. So I worked 2 part-time jobs that summer, and that was the hardest summer I've ever endured in my life. Because I had literally taken a massive pay cut. And when I was subbing, that hardly brought any income in. I only did it for like 4 weeks, and then you don't make that much anyways. And then just 2 part-time jobs. So I was just like, okay, I'm still gonna trust you, Lord. But in that time, I still was going to conferences. I felt impressed to go, and I said, if you're wanting me to go, then you'll supply the money. And I never said a word to anybody. They would just, at church, in that 4-month period, I was going through a journal last night that I don't keep, but I was going through it, and within that 4 months, people from our church gave me $450. I never said a word to anybody, and they just, would come and give me some money. And that was the year that we did 100 Days of Glory, where our church fasted for 100 days. And you can fast, it wasn't necessarily food, but you could just fast whatever was taking up your time, just to spend that time in prayer. And at the end of that 100 days, someone gave me $200 to the day. So, I mean, God's always so faithful if you'll just trust him in that. So, June and July were the hardest months. So, finances were getting very tight. My car was still having issues. The oil was leaking into the coolant. Blinker wasn't working. There were some other issues going on. And, so that's when I started to believe God for a car. I had been. I really wanted a Jeep Grand Cherokee. And so I was looking for a specific model, and I had sown seed throughout the years. And it was either, paying someone's car payment or just sowing in general for one. And so I made my list, and I got serious about it because I was like, this car ain't going to make it. It's not going to make it. So I wanted a Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo 4x4 WK model, and specific, had my list out. And so I had a bench in my other room, and I would sit on it. I would walk around because I wanted the automatic start. So I go boop, boop, and I'd start it up, and I would like open the door and push it because I want a push button. And I'd turn the radio on. The radio, I'm like scrolling. I'm like, yeah, I want this song. And so I would sit there and I put my hands up like I was driving, and I would just sit there and I'd worship. And sometimes the presence was so strong, I just sat there and I cried because yeah, I'm just inviting him in my situation. So I did that a lot of mornings. And then it was hell the rest of the day. That's what kept me going. But I was going to conferences, the Lord was supplying, and those kids, you know how kids are nasty and they get you sick. And I was tired because I was working a lot, straight 6 days a week, because my other job was on Saturdays for, I think it was like a 10-hour day, and it was hot. And that was a bakery. So I had to make pepperoni rolls all day, standing on cement, and my station was in front of a 450-degree oven. So that was rough. And but I was sick. Those kids got me sick because it just kept passing. It just kept passing. And I didn't have time to recuperate because I had to work. I didn't call off, but I was miserable and I was so tired and I was getting kind of depressed. And there was one point where I just looked in my living room and I'm like, what can I sell? And then I just didn't feel right about it. I thought about donating plasma, like all these different avenues to like help me out. But I was like, no, I'm going to trust you, Lord. And so, yeah, it was so hard. But I made a list at the bakery. I said, I'm going to be gone this, and this. And so she didn't speak English very well. So when I came back, I hadn't told her or reminded her. So my coworker who speaks her language, she called and told her that I want to be there. So she's all in a tizzy because she was getting to the point where she wasn't having to come in, and she was whatever. But so she was mad. So I come back. I was only gone for 2 days, and I go all the way up there. It's like a 25-minute drive. And I put my hand, she's standing at the door, and I put my hand on the door, open it, and she goes, you don't work for me anymore. And I was like, okay. And I shut the door in her face because I was over it. She had accused me of like hitting on her husband, who was nasty. And I would have never did it in the first place because she's married. And I wouldn't touch that fool anyways, even if he wasn't married. But so it was just bad. It was a bad atmosphere for like 2 months. So I was okay to go. And when I had come back, before that, I had talked to my boss at the job I had left, and we had set up a meeting for that day. So I got fired and hired the same day. My brother Joe was like, that's pretty outstanding for that to happen. I said, yes, it is, but God. I had another conference to go to, two of them to go to that I had scheduled. And so I said, I'll start back at the end of August. And I got more vacation time than before. And it's just, when you're down like that, it's very hard to just give up, to throw in the towel and give up on your dreams, give up on whatever, and you settle. Don't ever settle, especially when you have a word from God. You hold on to that word. And I'm going to fast forward, and then we'll get back to that. I had said at the beginning of the year, Lord, I want my Jeep by my birthday. My birthday is December. So I had been looking, and 2 weeks before my birthday, I get a notification that there are 2 Jeeps that came from Michigan, and they were at Progressive. And I had looked for years, minimum 2. I had looked for this model and could not find it anywhere. And 2 of them show up a week before my birthday. So I had asked to have my birthday off. It was on a Friday. So the 8th I knew we got paid that Friday. So I paid my tithe in advance. And I held it up. I said, Lord, I don't know where the money's coming from, but I'm just here to remind you that I asked for a Jeep by my birthday. So I thank you. I have my Jeep. You have been faithful. I've trusted you, and I'm trusting you to come through on this. And I said, I don't know where because I didn't even have $2,000 in my account to even put a down payment. I had nothing. And I said nothing to nobody. Nothing. I never asked for help. I never asked my parents for help, family, pastor, no one, nobody. So I said that in the morning. I sowed my offering and my tithe. And that afternoon, Mom calls me and she's like, I was talking to so-and-so and they were asking about everybody, asking how you're doing. They remembered your birthday's coming up, asking if I had plans. And Mom said, I was going to go to the dealership. And so that person got kind of quiet and was like, I want to give $10,000. And and did. So mom and dad gave me another $1,000, and then I got $100 for my car. But that's the goodness of God. That is the goodness of God. And that's why you hold fast. Because he is faithful. He is faithful. If you'll just press in and spend time with him and trust him. He's your dad. He's your dad. And dads, good dads, take care of you. So that I share this because it's real. And I'd never lie to you, and I'd never front. You should know by now I don't front or make up stuff. But people are not your source. They're not your source. Pastors, listen to me. Your congregation's not your source. We are avenues. We are, we do help, but we're not your source. God is the only source. And there are so many churches. There's one that I heard about recently. The big tithers left, so the church shut down. They split up. And it should never happen. You have faith in God. And this is talking to everybody now, not pastors. Have faith in God. Have the God kind of faith where you stand on the word, where you won't be moved. You can't be back and forth about things. You have to know what the word says and believe it. And that's what I did. And I trusted no one. I didn't rely on anyone but God. And he came through for me. And I enjoy my Jeep. It's beautiful. And it was a 2022. It was brand new. This woman had it for 6 months. So I don't know if it got repoed, if she died. I don't know. But it wasn't hers in the first place. It was mine. Had my name on it. So I know this is lengthy, but I'm going to continue on prosperity because it's such a hot topic, and people need to know it's okay. It's okay to have nice things. It's okay to be prosperous. Why do you want to live in a dump? Why do you want to have the minimum when you can have more than enough? And that's what I'm going to talk about. So I hope this blesses someone. I give God all the glory for this, and he'll do the same for you. He's no respecter of persons. He will do the same for you. So I will be back, and we will continue about prosperity. And I hope your eyes are open and your heart's open to receive because, like I said, it is a hot topic. So I love you. If you're watching the Super Bowl, I guess go Eagles, but we'll see what happens. I'm convinced the Eagles are going to win because there's been so much talk about the refs and cheating that I think if the Chiefs won, they are a solid team, as much as I hate to admit that. But we'll see. All right. Love you. Bye.